Hi, everyone. I'm really, really excited to talk about this tonight. I just want to make sure my audio is good. I'm really excited to talk about this topic of rebranding. It's one of my favorite things, branding in general. So let's just hurry up and get on into it. Just before we get into these mistakes that I want to put on your radar so that you can avoid when you're in your process of rebranding, let's just get a clear definition of what is rebranding. And a rebrand is essentially a change in direction. You were doing something and you recognize it's not working for you anymore. It's not work. It either may not be working for you or it's not working for your audience. You may be getting negative feedback or not a lot of feedback at all, which could be viewed as negative, and you want to go a different route with things. To the aspect of, something's not working for you, you may have evolved in your business, in your channel, in, whatever it is you are in the process of rebranding. Who you are when you started that thing may not be who you are today. And you want your brand to reflect what's going on in this current moment. Um, Also, rebranding isn't just about how things look. It's not only about choosing new colors and changing your logo or all those more visual things of a brand. A rebrand largely has to do with what's on the inside. And what I mean by that is your message. When you're rebranding, the purpose and the message behind your brand is changing, and you just want that to be felt and to your customers, to your audience, whatever the case may be. So let's get into some mistakes. I was scrolling on Instagram today, and one of my favorite people is She's That Brit. She is a brand, um, I think she's a brand consultant. Let me see. She's a brand strategist, and she founded The Idea Girl. Please look her up if you're not familiar with her. But I have been following her for years. It's not getting clear, but I've been following her for years. And she actually shared these mistakes in a recent reel right here on her page. Um, and I'm just going to go over those mistakes in more detail. Mistake number one is focusing on marketing before branding. And even when I first heard that, it wasn't really clear to me immediately. Like, what do you mean? If you go about your business or your YouTube channel just thinking about how you're going to get eyeballs on whatever it is, right? You put yourself in a position to not have your marketing message correlate well with your branding message. Does that make sense? You aren't It's important to create the brand first so that in your sales copy, for example, which is essentially you could think about how you write your captions on Instagram or how you deliver messages in your YouTube content. Everything that you say, the visuals that are used with your marketing, all of that can really connect to your branding. I'm trying to think, have I ever done marketing before I've done branding? I can't give you a specific time where I did that myself, but as I was thinking of that, I thought of sometimes with your brand, you can kind of be in a rush. And especially if this is a business and you have something to sell, or even if it's a YouTube channel, you want people to follow you or subscribe to you. If it's an Instagram page you're rebranding, you want people to follow you, And in that rush, you can skip on just being intentional with how you want to market yourself. So I may have just said the same thing in a different way, but I hope you get what I mean. The next thing she mentioned is creating a logo before researching. And I think her point about that was if you research, no, I think I messed it. I messed that up. I think she said the mistake is researching before you make a logo. Yes, that's it. That's it. Sorry if I have butchered that. The mistake is researching before you create your logo. And that just means you may take a look at your competition and what they're doing in terms of their branding and their visuals and their messaging and everything like that. That will skew your own thinking. That will get in the way of you, of the creation of your brand. It's just how the mind works. So when you are rebranding, don't look around at anyone or anything else first. It is a process. You're going to want to really take some time. For me, the visual that's coming to my mind is you're literally sitting here like this. What do I want my brand to look like? What do I want my brand to feel like? What do I want my brand to say? And you're just trying to come up with as clear as possible of a mental picture in your mind. It's okay to go out and get inspiration for that vision that you're trying to come to life. But the main thing to not do is to try and maybe even subconsciously get inspiration from people within your niche, people within your market, whatever is appropriate. And that's because you want to stand out, right? Whether it's a rebrand or you're establishing, strengthening your brand, oftentimes the goal is to stand out from your competition. So it may be a natural thing. Oh, let me go see what so and so's doing. Especially when it comes to Instagram, I feel like I have went through that before. Like, okay, let me see what people are doing that post content that I want to post. It gets in the way. It interferes with your own creativity. And if you can come up with the vision for your logo or other assets of your brand before doing that research, you're going to be better off. The next mistake is selling a product instead of a transformation. Now, this is something that I heard before. What that means is oftentimes a lot of new business owners or inexperienced business owners, they are eager. They are hype, whatever the word is that you want to use. And in that process of your excitement to sell something, you're focusing so much on the product when ultimately the person you're trying to sell to doesn't really care about the product itself. They are more concerned with how is this product going to transform my life. And you don't even have to think about it on that grand scale, but it's just about thinking about leading with benefits when you're trying to sell something. Same when it goes to YouTube and your channel. It's not about you in the sense of like, when it comes to your content, you need to clearly illustrate to your viewers what are they going to get out of watching your videos? What is the value you're going to provide? Same thing back to a product. These things are very similar. You should be treating your YouTube like a business anyway. So that's why I think this is a perfect conversation. What is the value that someone's going to get from the product that you have to sell, the service that you have to sell? What are those benefits? I have a great example for you. So I used to work at a tea company. Hold on, let me go I actually have some of the tea there from the company. Let me just get a little quick visual for you guys. because I really love this stuff. I really love this stuff. So I used to work at a tea company. Here you go. So this is some good night tea. And I didn't want to work and be a salesperson for the company. I wanted to do that company's social media and use social media to improve their sales. But the owner made me like be a barista, a tea-rista, as she called it. But I still wanted to prove myself and show her like I know what I'm talking about. Like, so I went around the store, and as I would work with customers, I found myself constantly trying to, it's like you can see the tea and you can even read the name. You can even see that it's called, I'm sorry guys, it's not, how do I do it? And me trying to get the YouTube hand. You can see the name of the tea is called Good Night Tea, but what does that mean? That doesn't really tell me what is this tea going to do for me. And oftentimes it would be older people coming in, or it didn't even actually matter the age, but it would be people coming in and being like, okay, why would I buy loose leaf tea like this? And I could get a tea bag or whatever. They just weren't understanding. And I told the owner, perhaps maybe you on the labels of these teas point out like three to four benefits or something. The tea that I have here is calming. I don't think it's on this particular packaging, but it helps you sleep better. It's calming. It relaxes you this and like, I asked her to point out some of the benefits. So me as the salesperson, it would be easier if someone's interested in a tea, I can go over the benefits with them. What ended up happening is the resistance that a new customer coming into the store had with purchasing the tea decreased by a large percentage. Once they understood the benefits of something, they were good to go. Let me get it. I'm willing to try it. And I think what's important in that story is when you're a new business owner, when you're a new creator, when you're coming onto the scene of something, you have to you got to earn your stripes type of thing. And people, they don't know you. They don't care about what you have to offer. How is it going to help them? You always want to lead with that. And that will excite your customer. That will excite your viewer more than just trying to focus on you or the product too much. The next mistake is the mistake of not building a community first. Now, I have an entire live stream on this particular mistake because it's a mistake that I've made in business. I wanted to I also was very excited to establish a successful business, and I just led with trying to get my service out. I led with just being businessy, and everything like that. And once I established a business, had my service, I had nobody to sell it to because I didn't build a community first. And when in regards to your brand, having a community is so important because you build brand loyalty. Ultimately, people buy from people. They don't buy from the business in a sense. People connect with people. Maybe that's a better way to put it. And you can have the best service, the best product, the best whatever. But if someone can't connect with you as the creator of it, you're going to find yourself having a problem getting sales. A lot of you all have, or a few of you all have come in and said, hello. Hi, guys. How is everyone who is watching? And if you're watching on the replay, how are you? Tammy says, I did this as well. I am backtracking that as well. Yes. And so I'm personally in the process of restarting my business. And one of the main business activities that I have going on is building a community. That's why I'm going so hard on my YouTube channel. I want to have I want to have brand loyalty. I think I was about to say I want to have people to sell to because that is true. But ultimately, with brand loyalty, a point that I don't think I've made yet is like, not everyone in your community that you end up building will buy from you. But what will happen is you get to take advantage of word of mouth marketing, which is one of the best forms of marketing that exist. So, okay, not everyone in your audience will buy from you. But what do you mean word of mouth marketing? What I mean is you have cheerleaders for your brand when you build a community first. What does a cheerleader look like? A cheerleader looks like, oh, I'm not necessarily gonna buy this or need this service, but my cousin, she was talking about this the other day. Let me let her know that Nala's doing this. Or I did just hear my friend say she was looking for something like this. Let me tell her Nala might be able to help her. They become cheerleaders for your brand in that sense because they're putting eyeballs onto your brand that didn't exist before just by telling another person about it. Just by because you're top of mind for them, they're clear on what your brand has to offer and they're willing to spread the word about it even if they don't need it themselves. So there's many benefits to building a community. Um, you know, I feel compelled to bring up this point that you only need 1,000 true fans. True fans, not followers, not 1,000 followers, not 1,000 subscribers, true fans. And you will be able to build a very successful brand. So let's get more into how to go about a rebrand. How do you do it in a smart way? You want to know, I think the very first thing, you want to be really clear on your reason for a rebrand. So, are you interested in rebranding because you're making a major pivot within your brand? Like I kind of talked about it in the beginning of this video. Where you started just doesn't work for you anymore. I need to go in a completely new direction. Or you may be in a place of wanting to rebrand because it is about the visuals for you. The colors, the fonts, the logo, everything outward facing to the customer, to the viewer, to the community member. It just doesn't match. It doesn't match what your brand ultimately has ended up being and is in the process of becoming. You may be wanting to rebrand because maybe everything else is going to stay the same, but the message behind your brand is different. So get clear on that reason for rebranding, because once you're clear on that reason, you're going to be able to let that influence in a positive way the decisions you make for your rebrand going forward. Let's talk a moment about your audience. We kind of got into community for a second, but thinking about your audience in regards to a rebrand, do you not want to serve the people you originally thought you wanted to serve? Because that's a whole nother can of worms right there. You always have to know who you're talking to when that comes to building a channel, building a business. Who are you talking to? And in your rebrand, if you feel like, yeah, the audience that I thought, the people I wanted to talk to, I don't want to talk to them anymore. This happened to me. I started my business working with, I didn't know what type of clients I wanted to work with. I just was so pressed to get clients that I took basically anybody who was willing to pay me for my service. And what I quickly learned in that process is there's a certain type of person I don't want to work with. It's too much a headache for me. It takes the fun away from what I'm doing. And you may have gone through that similar situation. It was like, yo, I don't want these kind of clients. So then what kind of clients do you want? I took some time to think about my ideal uh, person, my ideal customer, client, whatever you want to switch up for the word. Who is that person? I want to know, how much do they make? What do they look like? What do they do on the weekend during the week? Do they have kids? Like, how old are they? What are their socioeconomics? You know, get very detailed on your person that you are talking to with your brand, the person you want to connect to with your brand, so that in the rebrand, again, that will be able to positively influence the changes that you make. A brand is all about perception. And I used to not really understand, like, what does that mean? But essentially is, you can do all this work in a rebrand for your current brand, whatever the case may be, and think that you're being perceived one way when you're not. Perception is all about how the person looking at you views the brand. I was a sociology major, and this is a few years ago. So excuse me if I butcher this concept, but I want to share it with you. It's called like the looking glass theory. I don't have one, but that thing where that magnify thing, and you look, I guess they used to use it to make the words bigger at whatever they was looking at. That looking glass, you kind of have to be able to put that on and look at your brand through the lens of someone else. And when you do that, you have to constantly be asking yourself the question, is this how I want to be perceived? Another thing I want to bring up on this topic of perception, even the things you don't do can like alter someone's perception. Like, I'm just trying to say, like, every little thing kind of matters when you're building a brand. And you always want to be clear on the associations you're building with your brand. Before I get any further into that, I do see a couple comments that I want to address. Marissa says, has the audience you attracted surprised you at all, or been different at all than who you thought your audience would be? I would say, I remember in the beginning of my starting this channel, when I saw that I had an older demographic, that was the one surprising thing, because I knew my target viewer, I want them to be around my age, because that's what I could speak to most. But when I saw I had older heads, hey, if you 40 plus gang, if you're in the building, hello. Over 35, if you're in the building, hello. When I saw I had people older, I was very excited, because I'm constantly talking to my parents, or, different friends of family, people older than me. You got to do this YouTube thing. Where's your business at? I'm constantly telling them, come on, get on with it. But they're constantly telling me their problems and their issues with starting a business, or their issues with starting a channel. And that's when I knew there was a market and a lane for me as a young gun to show these old heads what time it is, you know? And I mean that in the most positive way possible, because you're not even old when you're 40. But when it comes to the land of social media, I'm sure some of y'all feel like, whoa, what the hell? Some of y'all probably feel like dinosaurs. And I mean that in the most positive way. It makes sense. I have an advantage. I grew up with social media. You all grew up when, y'all was using pagers. Y'all was using pagers, you know? So I get the learning curve. Ultimately, what I'm trying to say is, I get the learning curve. And I'm very happy to be in a position that people older than me are willing to listen to me and learn from me in the space of social media and building a business. So that was the only thing I was surprised about. I went into my YouTube channel being very clear on who I want to talk to. So I was able to build my brand around that, and just make sure in my titles and my thumbnails, speaking and connecting with that person intentionally. And I hope that answers your question, Marissa. Thank you for being here. Fallon says, I think people are so afraid to niche down because they think they miss out on money. But they need to hear what you just said about working with certain people who take the fun out of it. This is deep. I think people are so afraid to niche down because they think they will miss out on money. I have to take this moment to say, if you're building a business from a scarcity mindset, you're going to find yourself going through some troubles. Because I did it before. I tried to build a business with a scarcity mindset, and I couldn't even, I was so blind. Wanting to not miss out on money gave me more headaches than it made me stop my business completely because I was just so, I don't want to work with these people. These are not my target audience. And I think this is such an important point that Fallon has brought up, because when you niche down, it's better for you in the long run. From a money-making standpoint, it's better for you in the long run because you'll be able to maintain your zen and your happiness. Something recently clicked for me today, because my whole YouTube channel and everything like that is really becoming my YouTube dreams, which are also my business dreams, are becoming a reality. And I thought about to myself, because it all happened so quick. There's stuff on my lip, guys. There's stuff on my lip. Just listen to what I have to say while I get a piece of paper towel. I thought it would take a whole 12 months for me to get 1,000 subscribers and get 4,000 watch hours and everything like that. I thought it would take a full 12 months. And it ended up taking less than 6. So when I recognized that, I'm like, wow, I have a long way to go. I have a long, because I thought it would take so long to get monetized, I thought it would take a long time to start making money. But now that it's happened so quickly, I'm like, wow, I could really, I'm just trying to talk about my dreams in terms of your dream can become a reality way sooner than you think, and you can make more money quicker than you think if you're doing the work and putting the time in. And I don't want to get too lost or too far away with it, but it's just building a business is a long-term thing. If we talk about generational wealth, I promise you, we're going to get back to rebranding in a second. But I just want to make the point to say you're building a brand for it's a longevity type of thing. Coca-Cola, Delta. I don't know. Tell me your favorite brands. These brands have been around for a very, very long time. You want to build something very similar. And the way you build something very similar is knowing who you're talking to. I won't get too far away on that tangent. I'm very happy to have received my first super chat. Is that what it's called? JT says congratulations on monetization and supports me with his coin. Thank you so much, JT. He mentions to my point of being able to help people older than me. He's 49. Giraldi says, you gave me advice the other day to start over with my channel, so I created a new YouTube channel, and this weekend I'm just gonna content batch to rebrand and position myself in front of my target audience. Giraldi, I think that's amazing. I'm so happy that you found value in the advice that I gave. Let's talk about this for a second, because I think this is a question that sometimes comes up, whether that be a channel or a business. Should you just restart the whole thing, throw the old thing away and just move on? Is that something that you should do? I think it depends, but usually if you are trying to rebrand because you're going in a completely different direction, you have to be willing to let go of what you've done up until this point, leave that behind, and recognize you're taking the experience that you gained from doing that thing with you into your new thing. A lot of people don't want to let go. A lot of people are too scared to let go. They want to just, I already did this. I put so much time in on my business, da da da. They want to hold on to it. But that's not fair for your audience, whether that be customers or viewers. It's not fair to them. And it's also not fair to yourself. We are made to change and grow. We are made to reinvent when life tells us that's what we should do. So when it comes to YouTube, if you want to talk about completely different stuff, I suggest starting a channel, a new channel. I did it. I did it. Here's another thing that I did. Like I'm speaking from experience with this one. I started my first channel and I was vlogging because I watched a lot of vloggers on YouTube. So I wanted to be a vlogger. Let me vlog, let me vlog. Had no idea what I was doing. Let me just vlog. That channel stopped growing. I didn't even make it to 100 subscribers on that channel. I couldn't even be consistent on that channel. I was stressed out trying to make videos because I had no real direction. And when I was ready to come back to YouTube, I pondered for a second, should I just revive that channel? And I said to myself, no, I actually need the clean slate for me. I need to just start fresh, start over. And one thing I told Geraldi, it was like, it's springtime. At the time of me filming this video, it's spring, which is a great time for fresh starts and new beginnings. And I think the same thing about a rebrand. Ask yourself, is this rebrand my fresh start rebrand? Is it my clean slate rebrand? If Lavender Afternoons is still here with me, I know she's in the process of a rebrand as well. And I would love to hear her experience, but you have to be willing to start over sometimes. And I guess that's the point that I wanted to make. Abigail Hollis with another super chat. I just want to say thank you. This feels amazing. Thank you guys so much. Thank you. I feel the love. I feel the love. Fallon says, you doing these lives every day is a genius move. I will definitely copy that. I felt you when you still did it literally in the closet. Yeah. My 30-day live stream challenge is coming to a close, guys. It's coming to a close. So let's talk about is a rebrand necessary? Sometimes like people feel like they need to rebrand when you really need to focus on improving the brand that you've already established. For some people, you actually you made a decent brand, but because you may not be getting the engagement you're looking for, whether that be sales or comments or likes, whatever you're applying your rebrand to, you might not think you have a solid brand. But excuse me, I think that you do have to spend some time asking yourself, because you may not be in that bucket of, okay, let's abandon ship. Let's completely abandon ship. Maybe you started a brand as you gotten some experience, as you gone on. There's just a few tweaks that you want to make so that you can strengthen what you've already built. And I think that's a beautiful space to be in. I feel like it can be nice to not have to completely start over, because having to start over, yes, it was beautiful, but again, to that point, I get feeling like, damn, I just built all of this. So if you're in the space of like, you know what, maybe it is, I just need to improve what I already have, I think that's still a rebrand. The tip I would have for that, if you're in that space, is do you know the goal you're trying to get out of your brand that you're building here? Because maybe you're not getting the engagement you're looking for because how you're talking to your audience, your colors, all your assets involved with your brand just isn't hitting the mark just yet. So it would be coming up with a plan to make your brand reflect what your true goals are. In My Travels is checking in, said, I should be in bed, but I truly need your insight. So great to be here. I'm happy you're here in My Travels. Um, they go on to say, or I think in My Travels, what's your name? That's what it is. I'm going to improve my brand and expand the amount of topics for a woman of my experience. I think that's a beautiful word on this topic of, is a rebrand necessary? Perhaps you're similar to In My Travels, and maybe this is this is a real thing. Maybe you were just too narrow when you started out. And as you've done things, you can expand. You don't want to go too wide. You don't want to start bringing in things that aren't connected to what you've built so far. Please be careful not to do that. You don't need to be the jack of all trades or show people that you can do everything and anything. A brand, when you're building a brand, people have to be able to go like, I know, like I go to them for this. I go to them for this. Make sure that stays consistent. But sometimes you can expand to make sure whatever that this is clear as possible. I hope that makes sense. And if anyone was wondering, because I was in My Travels, her name is Felicia. I'm sorry if I asked you that already. Felicia. Jennifer Y has a question. Is it true YouTube takes part of your super chat funds? And if yeah, is it for taxes or for themselves? They take it for themselves. What you mean for taxes? YouTube is a business. If you eat, they eat. And that's how it works over here. So yes, 70% goes to you, 30% goes to them. Lavender, earlier I asked, because I know Lavender is in the process of a rebrand. She says, yes, I started my channel wanting to do cute girly tech reviews for tech and accessories. I realized that's not my true interest. I'm going to relaunch with a DIY home decor, crafts, and some vlogs. I'm so happy you brought up the word relaunch, because I think rebrand and relaunch go hand in hand. And I think it's okay. This is the analogy. I don't like gory stuff at all, but I have this analogy coming to my mind. And you know that bird, the phoenix? I guess like the phoenix is a mythical bird. And when it dies, like it dies in a blow up of flames. And when those flames cease, another bird is there. Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that so beautiful? It's one of my favorite little fake characters that exists. Do you need to do a phoenix type of strategy? I love to add strategy to anything, but do you need to do a phoenix type of strategy? In other words, does your brand need a relaunch? Like, guys, the brand kind of died. It died off in a sense. Things aren't working. In a way, it died, right? The brand died. Does it need that rebirth experience, that relaunch experience? And the answer to that is yes. It's a beautiful way to bring people back along, to bring people into the journey this time around. If you need to do a relaunch, but you can say flat out, hey guys, something did not work with what I started, but I want to turn it into something new. And I think it was yesterday's live, we talked about, like, in content creation, there's these journey type of things, like a journey style of video or something like that. I bring you guys along on my YouTube journey. You can do that for your brand. Bring everyone along that is willing to come. You don't know if you put out a post, Instagram post, a TikTok or something, you don't know who's going to be interested in your rebirth journey, in your relaunch journey. A lot of people will be like, you know what? You're right. I saw that your shit wasn't even working. I saw that. And the fact that you're humble enough to acknowledge that in front of everybody and say, this wasn't working. I'm on my rebirth route. I want to come along to that and I want to see how it goes. A lot of people can point the finger sometimes and not provide that feedback, but those same people, when they see you voicing some of the same things that they thought about your brand. They now want to see, how do you pivot? How do you go about changing this and making it into something remarkable, such as the fact, like I said, when a phoenix dies, something new, another bird, a new bird gets to start their life over. And I hope that's clear, because I really just kind of come up with these things, they're in my mind, but trying to explain it to y'all, I do that all here in real time. I'm having a bad hair day, so that's why I keep touching my hair. I'm sorry if that's. Felicia says, I house it locally. I live and work around the world, and there's a lot of Black women who are leaving the country, and I can help them do it intelligently. Yes, yes. Lavender says, me finding my true niche has been uplifting. Since then, I have been able to film so many videos, and it's easier to flow, and I love the craft community on YouTube relaunching next month. I'm happy and excited for your relaunch. There was something you said in there that reminded me of something. Flow. Oftentimes, I think if you clicked on this video, you want to do a rebrand in some sense of the form. But Lavender's point, like little thing that she just shared right there, reminded me, like, if you're experiencing a lot of resistance, whether that be with content creation or whether that be with marketing your business or getting your business off the ground, something isn't working. Something's not right. And the process of you figuring that out and putting it under the guise or the umbrella of like a rebrand is sometimes a really great thing, because I feel like a lot of people, when they're rebranding, they feel like they got to go away and retreat, right? Like they want to go rebrand, like in private. They want to rebrand in private, but I want to encourage you to rebrand in public. And I guess that goes in line with the whole thing of journeying, like bringing someone on this journey with you. Do it in public, do it in front of people. You can't be afraid to be seen failing. And I think sometimes with rebranding, especially if you're someone who's done a couple of rebrands, you may feel like, damn, are people tired of me switching things up left and right? Who cares? Who cares about that? The fact that we are entrepreneurs in the first place, the fact that we are content creators in the first place, says a lot in itself. And I guess I wanted to like bring up the fact of rebrand in public, because sometimes when you go away like that, what it does is it weakens the connection you have with people who are down for you regardless of what you got going on. And if you could find a way, like maybe you have to scale back your content, maybe you're just not as visible, but I think I just want to break the stigma of like rebrands have to happen in the background, go away, not go hide, but just go in your corner and get your rebrand together, then come back when you got it all together. Oftentimes in business and content creation, it'll be a while before we have it all together. So yeah, find the appropriate level of sharing this season of your business, of your brand with your audience. And don't go completely ghost. I think there's a time and a place for ghosting, but if you can help it, don't go completely ghost some people. Giraldi says, will you continue your lives, or what will your new strategy be? I will definitely continue my live streams, but I'm not live streaming every day. I want to at least do 2 to 3 lives, probably 2 lives a week. But if I feel spontaneous and I want to live stream, I will. I want to make sure I'm still learning the craft of creating YouTube videos, and I don't want to lose that. I had to pull back on creating like real videos in order to live stream every day, because I don't have all the time in the world. So I had to prioritize which one do I want to do, even though it may seem, because this is what I thought when I started live streaming, like, oh, just turn on the camera and go live. You still got to think about your thumbnail, still got to think about your title, still have to be intentional with those things, and that takes time. So my new strategy will be a mixture of real videos and live streams going forward. Lavender says, I'm not sure what I'm doing is called, but I'm having a hard time letting go of my 2 little tech accessory videos because of the views. Shall I restart to a new channel, delete the videos? Honestly, in my opinion, I get it. Like, I get like, oh, this performed well. But I think I gave a similar piece of advice to Giraldi, maybe not. It's just like trusting yourself to have that same success again. If you are struggling with letting go of a channel, letting go of a business because you had sales or something that looks good, you have to trust yourself to do it repeatedly and do it more times than you have already done it before. And that's what I would say. That's what I would say. You don't, I've used this analogy, but it's like the hair thing. Like when you want longer hair and you get your hair straightened and you see your ends, I just got a haircut, but you see your ends are split and it's like, ooh, I don't want to cut them off because then my hair will be shorter. But it's like you got to let go of those dead ends so your hair can grow longer, So though content that has performed well, it can be hard to see. It's like, ooh, I don't want to leave that on the table. But you have to know like what you're leaving what you're leaving there, you're going into a greater place for your brand overall and as a whole. To Jennifer's point, fresh starts are humbling. They really are. And sometimes we need to get in that space of like starting from scratch, from zero, from nothing, because it brings out a certain level of hunger in you and drive. And it's like, you've seen yourself be successful before. You've seen yourself, for example, have a couple videos do really well. So you can bring that out of you, but it's like it's humbling because you have to do it again. I think the analogy that's coming up for me is like sports professional athletes. Usually most of them aren't satisfied with winning a championship once. There's a constant hunger of like, can I do this again? And I think in the conversation of rebranding, to the point I made earlier of like when you decide to start completely from scratch, you're not taking everything with you, but the most important thing you're bringing with you is your experience. And a professional athlete, all they can rely on sometimes in those tough moments of getting to that championship place again is like, I did this before. So I have to fight through it. I have to fight through the procrastination or not having enough time or blah, blah, blah. All the different things we face on this journey. You've shown yourself before, so why not do it again? Okay, so I have some other things to mention about like how to do a rebrand. It takes a lot of thinking. I took a very long, like between like my first channel and this channel was over 12 months. I don't know the exact numbers, but it was over 12 months. And in a sense, I was bummed that my first channel wasn't doing well. But within that time, I also was like, okay, I really need to think hard and long about what am I going to do? And I bring this up to say, like, don't rush your rebranding process. To me, I feel like a time period of like getting super, super crystal clear on like what it is, all the things we talked about, what it is you want to say, like what your brand says, your brand message is way more important than focusing on what it looks like. Because I think people are more forgiving with the fact of like when you want to rebrand and change the look of your brand. But it is a bit harder to digest when it's like, okay, wait, we're doing what now? So if you can take more time to focus on your messaging, your mission, your vision, things like that first, or more than what it looks like. Because if you're not a graphic designer, if you're not a brand strategist, if you don't work in that field, you probably won't get the visuals, the branding assets right away on the second time, the third time, the fourth time. And the beautiful thing is you can build your brand based off of your message and your purpose, get yourself a little money and then work and invest into your visuals, work with a graphic designer to create a strong visual identity for your brand. Has anyone ever thought about that? Or are most of you like, I'll just do it myself type of thing? If you fall in the latter bucket, I feel like you should consider having on your list, one day I'm going to invest in working with a graphic designer and getting properly created visuals. The person I brought up earlier who was talking about the different mistakes when it comes to branding and rebranding and everything like that, you know, the things you should avoid while building and getting ready to launch a brand, Brittany, she she's done branding for many people, but I don't know if you guys are familiar with the brand Topicals. Let me bring it up for you real quick because they have really strong branding. Ooh, and if you're here right now, I have a secret, a rebranding secret that I want to share with you. Just give me 1 second. I want to show you guys this brand. So Brittany, I'll share it with you. Present, share screen. Topicals. She did the branding. Come on, what is this? She did the branding for this. You can find these folks in Sephora. She created this branding, these visuals, the logo, the colors. I think this is one of their top products. She made this happen. You know, these are popular as well. So here's there's one more product I wanted to share with you guys, but I can't find it. Let me share a secret with you guys. I might butcher it. When you're rebranding, let's say you are not a product-based business. Let's say you're rebranding a YouTube channel or something not physical. You do services. And if you are a product-based business, maybe this fits for you. Things that are physical, I always have this lip gloss here, right? This has very minimal branding, but physical items really help with conceptualizing a brand. So in the process of your rebranding, what you can do is there a product, if in a magical world, you created a physical product that represented your brand, what would that product be and what would that look like? Because, I literally got something today. Let me show you. Hold on. Thank you for your patience. So I have a physical product right here. This is my face wash. I had to buy some more face wash today. So here's my trick, my thing that I don't think anyone has ever shared. When you're rebranding, if you can put your brand into a physical product, what would that look like? What would the packaging be of the product? Let me put this closer. What would the packaging be of the product? What colors would you use? What would the font be? What would be the experience for someone engaging with your physical product? When I open this up, when they open up the packaging of your product, what do they get? You know, what does the physical vessel that your product lives in, what does it look like? And I love this trick because it forces you to, I think it forces you in a different way to think about your brand. Even if you don't have, even if you never put this product out into the market, it forces you to really think about the experience that someone has when they interact with you. Because this first lived on a shelf, wrapped up in this particular packaging. My esthetician recommended it to me, but it was on a shelf before, and I had to interact with it, and I had to go in and purchase it. So when you're rebranding, here's another product. I used the tea example earlier. What is that experience like for the person? And then you'll be able to kind of take that vision you created in your mind and transfer that over into a YouTube channel or into your website. Did that make sense to anybody? Can I get one person to say they feel me, or like, Nala, I don't know what you're talking about? It really, I love that exercise of it. I call it like productizing your brand. Productizing your brand. Because it's a mental exercise to help improve your creative thinking. JT says he feels me. So thank you for that. Yeah, it's called productizing your brand, and it's a way to improve your creative thinking. Sorry, I had to regather my thoughts so that you're coming up with something, a brand that someone will want to take off the shelf and bring home with them, Marissa says, yes, makes sense. I love going to markets and seeing how different businesses share their brand image in such a small space. That's an even greater point, People that make physical products, they're competing with everyone else in the store and everyone else in the aisle. And it's like they only have this moment. They only have the moment with their packaging and, the product itself to really kind of shine through and break through the noise. So I love that point, Marissa. Felicia says, I've always wanted the perfect tinted moisturizer that is perfect for the woman who travels, who goes from a safari to the opera and looks alluring and healthy. Nothing complicated, but perfect. I love the packaging by Necessaire. I believe that's how you say it. I love Felicia's particular example because look at what that did for, look at this. You guys need to look at what's on the screen. I've always wanted the perfect tinted moisturizer. That's the product that is perfect for, here's the woman who travels, who goes from a safari to opera and looks alluring and healthy. When you come up with an imaginary product for your brand, whether you bring it to life one day or not, look how easier it is to put into your the frame of mind of like, okay, who would buy this? Who is this for? What do they do? It just makes it an easier process. So I'm so happy that this thing makes sense. Like JT says, it helps you paint a picture. Sometimes, a brand, it's not like it's intangible. A brand is intangible. A brand is made up of a bunch of things, but not one thing, And sometimes trying to to put it into one thing, though, this is their brand. This is their brand. This is Grown Alchemist. That's them. Because as Marissa said, it's like you're in such a small space. How do we represent who we are? You know? Carol says, I understand as well. It gives the viewer something tangible. It does give the viewer something tangible. And, you don't even have to share this potential product with anybody. I just kind of view it as a way to help you think about it. Because like I made the point earlier, when you're rebranding, a lot of it is a lot of thinking, you know? Uh, Roseanne says, I get it. It's like having a physical experience with your potential clients, especially when you offer services. Yes. Yes. It's like having a physical experience with your potential clients. You made me bring up another analogy. I did share this in my live yesterday, but I want to share it with you guys because whether you're rebranding for your business or for your YouTube, I think it works for everybody, right? Remember how I said it took over 12 months for me to come up with the concept for my YouTube channel, this YouTube channel that I have now, this YouTube channel that got monetized in less than 6 months. I'm just saying. I'm saying that because of the clarity I moved about with this channel. One of my questions that I asked myself was, I don't want to get it wrong. Let me pull it up really quick. Hold on. I'm leaving you on a cliffhanger for just a second. Is it this? No. Is it this? No. Oh, come on. Okay, guys, I can't find the exact thing. But the question I asked myself, like, what does my online oasis look like? And another way to put it is like, if your YouTube channel was like a physical store or a physical office, physical location, what would it look like? What would be the experience when someone walks through the door? That would be your brand. That will help you think more about the brand that you actually want to create. You know? Do you all that are watching live have any more questions on the topic of rebranding? And if you're watching on the replay, please feel free to leave your questions down below in the comment section or any comments that you have. I really wish I can bring up, it's like a vision document. Okay, I found it, channel vision. So here's some questions. I'm not going to bring it up on screen, but these are some questions that you can kind of think of. Who is your brand for? Who is your brand for? We've touched on this throughout this video, but I think that's a nice and neat question for you to write down and answer. Who is your brand for? What does your brand oasis look like? We don't have to put it in the context of online. We can put it brand. What does your brand oasis look like? And then what problem or problems does your brand solve? Those are 3 questions in your rebranding process that I think if you sit down and answer in as much detail as possible, you will be able to create a brand that's way more true to what you intend to do. And I'll repeat those one more time. Who is your brand for? What does your brand oasis look like? And what problem or problems does your brand solve? I'm going to go turn off my heat. I'm trying to think, do I have anything else I want to say on this topic? I have something else to say. You know how earlier I said a mistake that you want to avoid is doing your research before you make your logo or your other brand assets? Well, let's talk about when it's time to research. Let's talk about when it's time to take a look, take a little peek at your competition, see what they're doing, because there's value in doing that. When you take a look at your competition, something that you can do is, especially when it comes to YouTube or how they market their products or run their social media, I just wanted to share a little question you can ask yourself is like, what is the fresh take here? Yes, they've said something. Yes, they've done it already, or they have something going on, but there's always a new angle to take. So it's like competition is there, but is there really competition? You know, there is, but I guess I'm just trying to say, like, just because you see like someone has done something already, they haven't, because they didn't do it in a fresh way that you might be able to bring to the table, bring to the market. Has anyone gone to a farmer's market before? You'll have three people selling broccoli. Why do those farmers feel like, "Oh, I can't go set up my stand because so and so is selling broccoli today. I'm not gonna sell my broccoli." It's a market. That means there's many people walking through that need this information or need this product or need this thing. So I want us to look at our competition in the context of rebranding. It's like, yeah, they're doing this, but what's the fresh take that I'm going to put on this? Marissa has a question. Do you have any examples of ways to rebrand while still showing up online? Examples. Hmm. Who's in the process of a rebrand right now? Maybe, maybe an example will come to my mind, like a concrete example to show you. But I just feel like if I was in this position, the only thing that I would do from a visual standpoint, like colors and everything like that, I would strip those away in the meantime. I would just strip down to like basics, white and black, like just very simple language. Branding is a language, and I would use very simple language in terms of my color scheme and everything like that so that I can still focus on what I have to say. And while I was saying that, what I thought about is this whole thing that I kind of learned through live streaming and everything like that. Like, what you have to say and your message is always going to be the most important at the end of the day. The branding gets people in the door, it gets people to pull you off the shelf, but it's like the value is still the most important thing. And I would take the time in the process of a rebrand to test out my value, like just try it out to my audience and like just still showing up. And in not in every single caption or video or something, it has to be like screamed out, I'm rebranding. Like, this is just I'm in the process of rebranding, but it can be thrown in there in like subtle, quiet ways. And as your rebrands, like you get closer to relaunching and everything like that, you can get louder and louder and louder. So I hope that answers that question. It's like, how can you whisper in the time of your rebrand, but you're still talking? Or you're talking a bit quieter, but you're still present. You're still there. And then gradually uh, be more, I don't know what the word is. Um, and this, I just really want to pour out everything that I have to say on this particular topic. Uh, so I'm just looking through my own personal process. Okay, I have the okay, one more thing. This might be the last thing that I share. But I came across a question that I asked myself. What kind of entrepreneur am I? Because I feel like entrepreneurship can be it's a big world. And I think if you're able to have an answer to that, because you could be building a business brand, you could be building a personal brand, you can be in process of doing a rebrand for both of those. But you as the person, you as the creator, even if this is in regards to a YouTube channel, like I said, your YouTube should be treated like a business. So what kind of entrepreneur are you? I just think that's another question that can help with your rebrand process. And all in all, I think rebranding is fun. And I want you to have fun during your rebranding process. I don't want you to be like picking apart what you've already created, or being, what's the word, like nitpicky and critical. I don't want your rebranding process to be something where you're overly critical in a way that's not conducive to your growth. You have to be analytical, you have to be strategic, but I think being critical should be a small portion of the pie. Like I mentioned earlier, a rebrand is a rebirth in a way. And birth is it's new life. Your rebrand process is a process of you breathing new life into something that is a seed currently. One of my other favorite people on the internet, her name is Danye Taylor. I was watching something from her the other day, and she talks about like seeds, ideas as seeds, and you have to water them. And I think if you're someone who, your brand, when it originally started, it was just a seed, it was just a thought, and you just kind of ran with it. You didn't know what you were doing. I want you to look at your rebrand process as this time to really water that idea and nurture it, and watch it grow into something bigger than you ever imagined. So I think that's everything I have to say. I just really I love, I love that people even want to be rebranding. It's a beautiful thing. I rebranded so many times. A lot of you guys don't know that I used to call myself Natural Nala. I don't call myself that today, you know? But I had to like start somewhere. And this was around a time where like it was cute to have those little like usernames. Like this was a time where people didn't use like their first name and their last name. And I'm like, oh, Natural Nala will be my thing. Here's like This is cringe, but I'm showing it for the people that are here. Let's see. Natural Nala is the essayist. Essays, articles, songwriting, content creation, poetry. I write the words that a picture is worth. Look at look at these colors. I'm not an essayist anymore. I'm not an essay writer. That was in 2018. And essays, articles, songwriting, content creation, poetry, dang, I was all over the place. But I had to start somewhere. This is you remember earlier I talked about um starting somewhere with, I don't like how it's highlighted like that. Starting somewhere with a logo and working with a professional person. Well, I'm trying to I don't know, but this was a logo that someone created for me. They spelled my name wrong. But look at that. If I would have stayed with this logo, that doesn't represent me today. And this was back in 2016, so of course not. I even wanted to, at one point when I first was trying to come up with a look, I used the Lion King type of fonts. And I'm just going down memory lane to share, that is not who I represent myself to be today. You can change, you can pivot, you can rebrand. It's a fun process. I have a whole Instagram where it's like an archived Instagram because I'm not even that person. Look at y'all. Y'all don't know who this is. Do you know this person? You don't even know. Look at my hair. I'm basically bald. You don't know that person. And that's the point. It's okay to rebrand. And that's all I have to say. JT, I appreciate you so much. I've enjoyed this live stream too. And I'll leave you guys with that. I hope you enjoyed the video and I'll see you in my next one. Bye bye.